Today on the LA Food Podcast, I'm your host, Lucas Servodio, sincerely hoping you don't have celiac disease because today's episode is unapologetically heavy on the gluten. Joining us today is the one and only Karen Palmer. Karen is an esteemed food writer, editor, and, perhaps most importantly, she's one of Los Angeles' most passionate pro-pizza advocates. Karen gives us a wonderful guided stroll through her journey into the world of food writing and serves up some serious wisdom for anyone looking to turn their passion for food into a career. It's a fun and fascinating conversation which features a stint in culinary school, a stage at Felix's famed pasta laboratory, and a foray into running her very own French bread pizza pop-up. What does Kevin Bacon have to do with it? Well, you'll have to listen to find out. Father Saul also joins us today for the definitive Top Chef Season 20 postmortem. We discuss topics of critical importance, including why Buddha might feel like a cuck despite winning, and we dole out yearbook superlatives such as most surprising contestant, best challenge, and most likely to succeed. And oh yeah, I'm contractually obliged to say that this segment also features Father Saul grotesquely basking in the glory of beating me at Fantasy Top Chef. Honestly, if you want to stop listening to this episode halfway through, I wouldn't blame you. I know I will. Without further ado, let's chow down. I am so excited to be joined today by food writer, editor, founder of Pan Pizza, and honestly one of LA's pizza queens. It's Karen Palmer. Karen, how you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining. I have been toying around with this idea in my head for the last week that you're kind of like the Kevin Bacon of the LA food scene.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Do you get
It's
do you
really
get what
high
I'm saying?
praise. Totally.
Yeah.
I
It
appreciate that. Thank you.
it feels like anybody you think of in LA food, whether it's a food writer or, a restaurateur, 6 degrees or less, you get to Karen Palmer.
I love that. Thank you. It's funny. Since I've been a food writer for so long, I'm used to asking the question. So I'm like a little bit nervous to be like talking about myself, but here we go. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Well, we can talk about yourself, talk about food. There's any number of topics we can talk about. So,
Love it.
uh, what are your LA
Exactly.
stomping grounds?
So I live in Mar Vista. I spend a lot of time over here on the west side. I would say I am more of a west side girl. I mean, I love going east and I've been excited the past couple of years. There seems to be a little bit more happening over here food wise. So we've got some stuff going on over here on the west side. It's great.
Yeah. It's funny because you were at Eater for a while recently, right? Like a
Mhm.
few months ago. I
Yeah.
noticed a lot of West Side coverage while you were there.
Totally. That was all me. I was like, "Okay, with the West Side needs to get some love." But no, it wasn't all me. But, yeah, I mean, most of the team either lives, on the East Side or South Bay. So, like, yeah, it was nice to kind of have some focus over here as well because, like, there are some areas like Main Street in Santa Monica and even here in Mar Vista, like, some exciting openings and things happening. Whereas I feel like a lot of time the coverage is Echo Park or Silver Lake or, downtown or whatever. So it was fun to talk about my neighborhood a little bit.
Yeah, I have an East Side bias for sure. I live in like Northeast Los Angeles. So when
Love
my
it.
friend and co-host was here for a food crawl, we started on the West Side because I'd read all about Main Street via you and via Eater,
Yep.
and so we started off at Heavy Handed, went over to
Hmm.
Crudo and Nudo. Recently, we had my wife and I had dinner at Isla, which is awesome as well.
Nice. Yeah, it's really
Um,
good.
so much happening on Main Street.
It's a little hot spot.
Yeah, yeah, crazy. What you're not from LA originally though, right?
No, I'm originally from New Jersey. Shout out to the Garden State.
Oh, yeah.
I love New Jersey. um, I've been here for about almost it'll be 6 years this fall, and was living in New York City before. I actually I've bounced around quite a bit in my adult life. After college, I lived in New York for a couple of years, then moved to San Francisco for about 8.5 years, then back to New York for about 6 years, and then out here. So I've been kind of like both coasts. And I just, I really love living in California. I do. There are things about New York that I definitely miss and I love going back to visit, but I kind of fell in love with LA over the past like decade or so of coming out here, whether it was for work or for just personal trips to Los
Mhm.
Angeles. And, I kind of got to a point in New York where I was like, why am I not living in LA? So that's kind of, I was just kind of ready for different lifestyle, a bit of a change of pace. I was freelance at the time. So it was kind of like, if you can work anywhere, then why not live where you will be happiest? So that's
What
what
did it for
brought me
you?
out here.
What was the final, like, straw that broke the camel's back? Was it taking your groceries on the subway? Was it, like,
I mean,
what did it?
it was I think like New York, I love the energy in New York, but I feel like a lot of times you feel like the city is just kind of like fighting against you. Like everything is difficult. Getting groceries is difficult. Like you have to like going to a movie, just like I felt all the time like just walking out of my apartment building, like something was, like, fighting against me. I think too, like, I had just gotten to a point in my life where I wanted a little more space, I wanted more, like,
Mhm.
outdoor time, access to the outdoors, the living out here is pretty nice, and it's not necessarily easy, but I think the slower pace is really nice, for old middle-aged people like me.
Honestly, no matter where you
For
find yourself.
everybody.
Yeah,
Totally.
especially, like, after the pandemic and whatnot, like, it just feels like if you can live anywhere, having a little bit of space, having some
Totally.
room to breathe, completely hear that.
Yeah.
Although it must have been hard to leave the epicenter of pizza for Los Angeles.
Well, actually, I feel like I left at a good time in the sense that, like, right when I got here, Pizzana had just opened fairly recently. I feel like it
Mhm.
was sort of the beginning of this pizza renaissance that's happened in LA over the past, like, 5 or 6 years. And obviously there were established places like Mozza, like the classics that were already here and doing great work, but I do feel like there's been this explosion of really, really good pizza. So, I
Yeah,
feel like it was kismet that I ended up here and all this great pizza stuff happened around the same time.
yeah.
So,
Is it It's like chicken or the egg. Did you cause it, perhaps?
I mean,
Like,
I
the demand
manifested
all
it
of a sudden was
somehow.
here? Yeah, yeah.
Seriously. No, I don't think I caused it, but I do think like I don't know, like it's just been exciting to see, like, all the different styles and, all
Yeah.
across the city, different pizza places opening, and that, the, pizza festival a couple weeks ago was, like, incredible. Just and, going both days and seeing, and I should drop the name, the LA the city Pizza City
Yeah.
Fest.
It's
Like,
confusing
wait, I
name.
should know this.
Yeah,
Pizza
God
City
loves Steve,
Fest.
but it's yeah, it's a co Steve
Yeah. No, it
Dolinsky's
was like
Pizza City Fest.
he did and, they did an incredible job. I wanna give a shout out to Steve and Carol Chin who organized the whole thing. I thought it was so well done, like, between the tastings and the flow of the event, but yeah, it was really exciting to see, like, all these LA and,
Yeah,
mostly Southern California. There were a couple of Northern California places there too, but just all in one room and being like, "Oh, wow, this is how much great pizza we have in this city that we're able to, like, have a 2-day festival with, like, different vendors each day and, like, experience all the different kinds." So that was really, really fun.
it was a real, like, almost coming of age moment in that, like, for LA's
Yeah,
pizza scene in a way, like, to your
totally.
point, like, seeing everything in one place, like, I think, you and I as pizza aficionados probably are aware of how much good
Right.
pizza there is on the scene right now, but I think for a lot of people that were there and maybe just, like, pizza curious,
Pizza exactly. The
they
pizza
were
curious. I love that.
yeah, yeah, they were you can have that one for free. They were probably, like, just mind blown by the
Totally.
variety, the quality, so what sparked
Sure.
your love for food and pizza? Well, pizza and food in general.
Even though the name Karen Palmer does not sound particularly Italian, I am mostly Italian American. So I grew up with two like Italian American grandmothers who were great cooks. I think that certainly, there was always like an appreciation of, you know, holiday meals and, my family always sat down and ate dinner together. I mean, we were, always pretty into food and like the tradition of it. I also was very lucky as a kid to go and live in Italy for 2 years. My father was transferred there for work. So when I was in 5th and 6th grade, we lived in well, just outside of Milan and,
No way.
got yeah, it was like, just I think at the time, I mean, I think I was 9 when we moved. So, like, my brother and I were, like, mostly excited if we were traveling and there was, like, a city that had a McDonald's because it was like we just wanted, like a taste of home, but there weren't that many back then, so,
And and Italian McDonald's kinda
when
slaps.
they
I
were
don't know if it
good.
was
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
yeah,
The
yeah,
one in Rome, amazing.
yeah.
So, like, I think that also, being in a completely different country, and even though we can't, grew up in an Italian American family, just experiencing, through travel different cuisines and, I think also that, aside from being Italian American from New Jersey, no less, like, that really also sparked my interest in just Italian food and pizza, like, being able to eat all of that amazing food as, like, a 5th and 6th grader.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and then the it's funny because I didn't really think about it in terms of a career until maybe my mid-20s. I'd always loved writing. Writing had always been like come pretty easily for me, like in school, and I worked on like the college newspaper like a nerd. And like it wasn't until yeah, like my early to mid-20s, the Food Network had just kind of started like becoming a thing. I mean, this is way before, like, all the competition shows and, like, what the Food Network is now. This is, like, the days of, like, Sarah
Emerald?
Moulton and Emerald, yeah. I mean, like, I hate even saying his name, but, like, Mario Batali, like, there were, like, Bobby Flay. It was, like, very old school, like,
Yeah.
early days of the Food Network. So between that and I started reading, like, various, like Ruth Reichel's memoirs and a bunch of other like, food books and got really
Garlic and
into food
sapphires?
magazines. Yes, love that. Comfort
Oh,
Me. No, wait, Comfort to the Bone. Oh my God. No, Comfort Me with Apples and Tender
that
to the
yeah,
Bone. That's
there you go.
it.
That
Like, I know. I'm like, what are they called again?
yeah.
It was so long ago
Tender
that I read them
Apples and
now.
Comfort Me, those are
Yeah,
different books, yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Um, and so yeah, I decided that I wanted to be a food writer. So this is during my San Francisco years. I went to culinary school, really with the goal of being a food writer. I never really wanted to like work in a kitchen necessarily or, run a catering company or anything. I like cold emailed an editor at a local magazine because they had a great food section. It was called 7 by 7. I was obsessed with the magazine, like landed an internship and then just
Well,
kind of started, the food writing career just sort of like fell into place from there. So,
that's cool. I feel like a lot of people need the opportunities to come to them, but you really went out there and
right.
just, like, chased it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, in a lot of ways you make your own luck and you have to
Yeah.
like, I mean, what like also like what's the word? I emailed well, she became my boss and she's still a good friend of mine, my friend Sarah Desert. And, I just like figured out her email, said like, hey, any chance you guys like needed an intern for the food department? They happen to be hiring. So it was just like, you know, it was lucky timing, but I do think you have to like take those steps in order to like create opportunities for yourself. So
Totally, totally. Good for you.
yeah,
And culinary
thanks.
school, what was that like? Like,
Hmm.
did you like? Because you said you're there, like, with the goal of becoming a food writer. There's probably
Right.
people there with the goal of becoming, like,
Oh yeah,
chefs,
the
cooks, what
next Food Network star, whatever. No,
exactly.
it was really I had never worked in a restaurant before. I'd worked in high school, I'd worked at like a little like counter service place, like behind the counter, but I'd never cooked in a professional kitchen, or actually even like waited tables, which is kind of crazy. So for me, it was really like I wanted to get kind of a really good foundation of knowledge just about how things are made. This was a very classic program. Like we started with, like the mother sauces and the, very French kind of, it was, very, very old school. But did classes in everything from, butchery to baking and pastry, different like Asian cuisines, South American, like a little bit of everything. I think the thing that was like the most humbling is like I think I started when I think I went when I was 26, and there
Mhm.
were, a lot of kids. I say kids because they were like kids right out of high school who wanted to make, professional cooking, their career, and a lot of those kids, like, did have real restaurant experience, so, like, I'm sitting there, like, I could barely, like, chop an onion, like, I basically had to go home and, like, practice my knife skills at night and stuff, and these kids are just, like, whipping through it, and, like, it was a great experience. I do feel like it helped, just kind of, like, round out my culinary knowledge. I certainly don't think it's necessary for a food writer,
Yeah.
but, like, for me, I think it was a good kind of basis of knowledge.
Do you still have the knife skills?
I'm okay. I mean, I was never like
Yeah.
I certainly improved, but I'm not like restaurant level knife skills by any means. I can cook, but I'm not like not professionally.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, hey, I everything I know from knife skills I learned from the show Selena and Chef,
yeah,
on
there you
HBO.
go.
That
Love
was
it.
my
That was your
cordon
your
bleu.
training.
Yeah,
Love it. Love
exactly.
it.
That's really cool. And so you after that, you started 7 by 7 as an
Mhm.
intern, you said, and,
Yep.
do you remember your first piece that you wrote?
Oh God.
Sorry to put you on
No,
the
I
spot.
don't. Oh my god. I remember, like, so I interned and I was doing mostly a lot of, like, fact checking and, like, research during the internship. I'm sure I got to write 1 or 2, like, little things. I did so what ended up happening was there were 2 food editors and the, like, assistant or associate food editor, actually, again, here talking about lucky timing, like right around the time I finished culinary school, the assistant editor left the
Mhm.
publication. So there was an opening, and my now, boss and, friend Sarah offered me the job. So I do remember like my first big feature was like a holiday entertaining feature that was all different recipes from, like, different chefs around town. So there was,
Hmm,
like, an appetizer from one restaurant, a little salad from another place. It was fun,
that's
like,
cool.
working with the chefs and owners on the like, we, like, all tested the recipes and stuff. So it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
that's awesome.
mostly a lot of the coverage that I did was, like, handling our, like, restaurant listings and stuff. So, like, it definitely I got like a real crash course in like San Francisco dining, which was a lot of fun. So,
That's awesome.
worst place to be.
No,
So,
totally. What were, like, the
yeah.
hot spots when you were doing this?
Oh god. Delfino was still and is still very popular. There was a place down in the Mission called Range that was really cool.
Mhm.
Oh man, like there were still a lot of the old school places like Fleur de
Yeah.
Lis and like Massa's and that kind of stuff that I actually like got to go to that were incredible. The Planet Door was like
Uh-huh.
fairly new at that point. I mean, it had been around for like a couple years, but it hadn't even like it was still down in the Mission. It hadn't moved to the Ferry building yet. So there were
Yeah.
like, yeah,
The good
there
days
was
of
like,
this Planet Door.
yeah, and I think within my first couple years in San Francisco is when the Ferry Building actually opened, like, the
Uh-huh.
whole, marketplace and all the restaurants there and stuff. So, like, yeah, it was a really exciting time to be there.
You've obviously had a lot of different jobs in food writing, and you've written for a
Mhm.
lot of different places. Does
Yeah.
one of your experiences really stand out among the others?
Oh my gosh. I think one of my favorite jobs for multiple reasons, mainly like partially because the people I worked with were so incredible, and just like the content that we produced. I was a San Francisco editor for Daily Candy for several
Hmm.
years, which was like, you know, and for people who aren't familiar with it, it was one of the first like email newsletter publications. And I really, really loved again, the people that I worked with are like, a lot of them are still my really close friends because it was like mostly women, just like incredibly talented, smart, funny, fun people. But like we really, especially when I was working for the local edition, just kind of like discovering and promoting, or helping to promote like small businesses is something I've
Yeah.
always really enjoyed. Like that, helping people to find like the cool new place, but not, maybe not the place that's like got a ton of funding or like, you
Yeah.
know, backing behind it, but like it's just a really like special little gem. That's always like in terms of what I do, that's always been one of my favorite parts of it. And yeah, like seeking out like trends and like seeing, what cuisines are hot right now or like what areas or
Yeah.
neighborhoods or whatever. That's something I've always like really enjoyed. So
It's the sounds like the Jonathan Gold ethos of introducing people to things that they may not have
totally.
otherwise known. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
I would not refer to myself as a Jonathan Gold, but that is definitely, yeah, it's like the helping people discover, um, yeah, cool new things.
Hey, but going back to the Kevin Bacon, aspect, I'm sure it's not that many degrees of separation to, Mr.
Right.
Gold.
True,
Um,
true.
let's go back and talk about your time in the kitchen because I read in your bio
Sure.
that you had a stint at Felix, is that right?
I did. I did. Right after maybe a couple months after I moved to LA, I was freelancing. I think, and this is not a knock on LA because I love living here. I do think when you first get here, especially, I think other former New Yorkers can relate to this. Like
Mhm.
the city can be a little isolating in that,
Yeah.
like, especially like if you're working for yourself, it's like I was literally like, I was living in Venice at the time. So it's like I'm sitting in my apartment working, or I'm like in my car by myself to like go meet somebody. But there's a lot of like alone time.
Yeah.
So partially, you know, I I was very happy with like the work that I was doing in terms of the freelance stuff, but I was sort of obsessed with Felix since, I lived in Venice. I'd interviewed Evan Funke for a couple of different stories, and yeah, I just like really admired the work that they do and the attention to detail. And I mean that, his pasta is amazing. So it was partially like kind of wanting something where I felt like part of a community, but also, I don't know, I was kind of at the point where I had been writing for so long and I wanted a new
Mhm.
challenge. And, it's like writing and producing content, you're really, you're sitting behind a laptop a lot. You are like
Yeah.
out in the field, maybe reporting here and there. But the thought of like creating something with my hands and actually making something was really appealing. So I approached Evan and asked him if I could intern in his pasta lab. See, it's like me just being like, hi, can I work for you?
How did that
um and
did were you, like, literally, like, you had interviewed him a couple times and then were like,
yeah, I asked
"Yo."
him if we like I was like, "I have a, question for you. I'm wondering if we can have a cup of coffee." And I just said, I'm like, "I have some culinary experience, but it's more just for me to learn." And he said, "Yes." So a couple afternoons a week, I went and interned in the pasta lab, and I will tell you, I was like almost no help to them whatsoever because like it is the amount of, like I said, attention to detail and just specificity that they use is really, really impressive. And I'm just like, I'm a good cook. I would say I'm not that great with dough necessarily. So like I'm
Interesting,
okay. But
wow.
yeah, it's like, um, so it was really fascinating to be part of it, but it's not, I was just going in a couple afternoons a week. And I've had this like sidebar, like this business idea for a long time that involves fresh pasta.
Okay. Are
So
you
it
gonna
was like
share it here?
partially
Share it here so we can attract some
maybe.
investors?
No, I don't want anybody to steal my idea. I'm
Fair,
just
fair idea,
kidding.
fair.
No, but I mean, and it was also just to see like, is this something I'm good at? Like, would
Yeah.
this? It's part of the business idea that I have. So ultimately, I think I would like outsource that part of it. But yeah, it was really fascinating to learn, and you know, like I said, I really just admire what Evan does and his skill and focus and attention to detail. So it was cool to see that from the inside a little bit.
Had you made pasta before? Or I mean, you went to
Yeah,
culinary school,
but I mean,
obviously.
like in culinary school or maybe like once in a while,
Yeah.
busted. And I mean, I could actually make very good fresh pasta, like for myself, but that level, like the way that they
Yeah.
like form the shapes and stuff, it's like you have to just train for hours and hours in order to get that mastery of it. So
And it's all does he hand rolls it, right?
most of it, there are some extruded shapes that he does, like the rigatoni and,
Mm,
some of the, like, spaghetti or whatever, but, a lot of them are hand shaped, yeah. So it's like
yeah.
and it's amazing because you look at them and they're like, "Oh, wow, they are all" like, I was trying to
Perfect.
make orecchiette for, like, months.
No.
And yeah, they were all perfect. It was
See,
tough.
I'm often asked about Evan Funky and Felix and Mother Wolf, and I'll be 100% transparent. I have
Mhm.
well, I won't say made fun of or like poked fun at it in the past for his
Right.
fanaticism, his like fanatic dedication to al dente.
Right, right,
But
right.
yeah, I mean, it is like, on the, definitely on the, sharp side of toothsome, let's say.
Oh,
And,
yeah, for sure, for
even
sure.
for an Italian, right? And for an Italian American. But, I will say the dedication to getting those shapes perfect is something that
Yeah,
requires, like, maniacal dedication. And yeah.
totally.
Do they,
Oh, go
like,
ahead.
instruct you to, like, boil the pasta until it's barely like, it's still raw or what?
I mean, they have very so it's still raw. Um, I mean, they have very specific, like, cooking times and, like, how long they dry it, how long they store it. I mean, it's very, very specific.
Yeah.
I don't think I even cooked any pasta, actually. I was just trying to make the fresh pasta.
Yeah. Well, division
Ugh,
of labor.
worst intern ever. Just
Hey. I'm sure that's not true. Having heard some stories from the industry, I'm sure there's some
kidding.
seriously
Right.
problematic interns out there.
True. This is true. I at least
Uh,
showed up and, did my job.
and then well, speaking of operations that you had a more, A to Z hands-on approach with, let's talk about Pan Pizza.
Sure.
Your French bread pop-up that, you did
Yes.
what, a couple years ago now?
It was I think the last pop-up I did was probably almost 2 years ago at this point. So Pan Pizza was an idea that, I had with a friend who is actually a chef, Nick Montgomery, who went on to open Conby with Akira Kudo. This is before they had
RIP.
opened. I know, it's such a bummer. That place was incredible.
Yeah.
It was, like, within probably 6 or 8 months before they opened the original in Echo Park, we were just talking one night about, like, so many nostalgic foods have been updated or, revamped or made
Mhm.
better with good ingredients, but, like, nobody had really done it with French bread pizza, so he and I were just like, "Let's do a pop-up." So we had a pop-up in Silver Lake. We came up with the idea of the name Pan Pizza is partially, I mean, the French word for bread is pan,
Yeah.
and also, like
PAIN.
exactly, exactly, and then the kind of double meaning of it is that, like, when you would eat, like, a Stouffer's or Red Baron, French bread pizza as a kid, like,
Yeah.
that texture, like, almost hurts your mouth because it's, like, so
Ah,
crunchy, so it's like pain and bread.
that's
So, yeah.
good.
So we did our first pop-up together, and, it was, like a little place in Silver Lake. I think it was called We Have Noodles. It's not around anymore, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But after that first one, Nick and Akira were like very much kind of full speed ahead on opening Conby. So I was like, all right, do you mind if I like just take this and run with it? And he was like, go for it. So I became the French bread pizza lady. And yeah, it was like, it definitely had like a moment where it was, I was doing pop ups all over the city. Yeah, there was one point where I, like, maybe had one a week. I mean, it was, like,
Wow.
a pretty regular thing.
The
Sorry.
product itself, I'm curious about the product itself. I'm one of my,
Sure.
regrets in this pizza life is that I didn't get to try pan pizza in its original
Well,
form.
maybe it'll come back someday, you never know. So, yeah, the idea, like I said, was just kind of, like, updating French bread pizza with good ingredients. So I worked pretty much exclusively with either, Bub and Grandma's or Clark Street baguettes.
Mhm.
Would like pre-toast them and do some other stuff to get them to that like crispy texture. I made a sauce out of with Bianco de Napoli tomatoes. Let's see what else. I kept typically the toppings were pretty classic. Cheese,
Yeah.
pepperoni. I used sausage from Standing's Butchery, which is a great butcher shop
Mhm.
over in Hollywood, and occasionally for different places, like I did a pop-up at, Old Man Bar in Hatchet Hall, and,
Mhm.
the owner was like, "Let's do something fun." So they had, like, their country ham on the menu, so I basically
Ooh,
did a like a Hawaiian pizza with, like, grilled pineapple and their country ham.
that sounds good.
I did one, yeah, it was delicious. I mean, Hatchet Hall is great. What else? I mean, like, oh, I did like a couple pop-ups, I did like a take on, the barbecue chicken pizza at, California Pizza Kitchen. So it was like
Yeah.
it was just fun. Like, I really loved the, like, the marketing, the promotion of it, the, getting to meet and work with all these people in the industry, like actually Jonathan Strader, who then went on to open Little Coyote, was at Hatchet Hall at the time. Like Dustin Lancaster, who owns a bunch of places, did some pop-ups with him. Like it was just really, really fun to get to know and work with those people. And, you know, just it was
Yeah.
a fun like side project. So
See what I mean? See what I mean? The Kevin Bacon of the LA food scene, you know?
I know, right?
Well, I think
Totally.
it's a brilliant concept, because yeah, you're getting that nostalgia, which I feel like is
Right.
so hot right now, in terms of like
Hmm.
the foods
Totally.
that really
So
harken
hot
to
right
that.
now.
But also, like, I think there's actually a lot of collab opportunities there. Like, you just
Oh,
brought up the
totally.
Hatchet
Yeah.
Hall one, but, like, who wouldn't want their products on a pan pizza, you know?
No, totally. And it was like, yeah, I mean, I popped up at bars, restaurant, like, it was like yeah, it was really, really fun. So, I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe I'll bring it back. It was also, as all of these things are, a lot of work.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, it's just kind of like I've been talking about bringing it back for, like, the last 2 years, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe I'll throw up a question on Instagram and see if anybody wants to host one. See what happens.
I will preemptively vote yes to
Okay, great.
to whether you should bring it back. To hosting it, I'm not sure I have the ability to do
Right.
that, but yeah. Okay, look.
I love it. I'm sure I could find a place.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, if Kevin Bacon can't find a place, who can?
Exactly. Who can?
I wanna get into the nitty-gritty with, our shared favorite food, and,
Yeah.
we've heard a little
Let's
bit
do it.
about your experience living in Italy, which is cool. It actually was very Stanley Tucci of you. He did
Right.
that as well, and I think that that's one of his, he talks about that in terms of why he loves
Yeah.
food so much. But where does your we heard about your love for food. What about your love for pizza? Is that just like, the Jersey, like it's in your
Yeah,
blood?
I think it's just in my blood. I mean, like, grew up eating great pizza in Jersey. We had, when I lived in Italy, we had a couple of favorite pizza places that we would go to as a family a bunch.
Do
I
they have
mean
good pizza in Milan? I would say
I mean, it was okay. It was
Yeah.
okay, like, I mean, we got to go, to Rome and, like, some of the other places that are more classically known as, like, pizza destinations,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, it's also just, like, who doesn't like pizza? Like, pizza is a food that makes, like, 99% of people happy, so
Yeah.
it's just, like, I don't know, and there is something interesting to me in just the, like, as we were talking about a little bit before, just like the different styles and the how you can get creative with it. I mean, you could basically put like almost anything on a pizza. So it's like, I was fascinated actually at the pizza festival on the panel that I did, chatting with like Ann Kim about how she, puts kimchi and you know Korean barbecue on pizza. I mean, like it really is a vessel that supports almost any
Anything.
flavor, so, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
was
I
actually
don't know.
thinking of Ann Kim the moment you said that too, based
Yeah,
on the panel, and then I went right home and watched the Chef's Table Pizza episode, and it's just
yeah,
incredible to see what she's been able to do, but you're absolutely right, like,
totally.
you can do anything with pizza, and it's
Yeah.
not just the toppings, but the doughs too.
The
Like
dough, the stuff, yeah, and I mean, like, think about, like, here in LA, we've had like, there's been kind of a, like, Detroit style pizza boom
mhm.
recently. You have people who are doing, like, very like, Evan doing Roman pizza. Daniele has kind of, like, created his own style at Pizzana. I mean, like, there's just, like, yeah, there's so much you can do with it, so
Have you been to Fred Eric's spot, the LA Pie downtown? Or Pie
no, not
LA?
yet.
Okay,
No.
highly recommend that. It is, Detroit style-ish, but
Uh-huh.
he uses, kombu water instead of just water.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah,
Nice.
so it
So it
gives
gives
it
it a
like a
little
really
extra.
exactly, exactly, a little extra
Cool.
something, something. So, highly recommend that,
I'd
but
love
just when
that.
you were talking about, like, the different styles, that's what it
Yeah,
reminded me of. So, based
totally.
on your social media presence, you seem to gravitate towards Roberta's in Culver City.
I
Is
do
that
go to
right?
Roberta's a lot.
Yeah.
It is true. I mean, I just find them to be very consistent. Having lived in New York, it's like it feels like a little taste of home a little bit. And yeah, I just look, I also think like, and this is not a knock on Roberta's, but in LA, you find your favorites that are like close or close-ish to home. Like
Yeah.
Roberta's is very convenient for me. I also uh I do like to be a regular at different restaurants. And I think like, at this point, I have my friend Caitlin and I go there like all the time. Like we know a couple of the bartenders really well. We sit at the bar, they treat us really nicely. Like it's just like
Yeah.
the overall experience. I also think that, like, Roberta's, and I will say this about, Ronin and Pizzana too, like, I just like that they are restaurants where, like, the pizza is incredible, but also, like, everything else that they do is
Oh,
really
yeah.
delicious, like, the salads and the sides, the Roberta's burger is delicious, like, you
Hmm.
could, and I have gone there actually and not eaten pizza and had, like, an incredible meal,
I
so
don't believe it.
I
I
know it
don't
sounds
believe it.
crazy. It sounds crazy, but it's happened. So yeah, I think it's like the consistency and just like, and I love like, you could go and have a great cocktail. Like it's just kind of like the full experience. So
Yeah.
for a dinner out, it's like a nice destination. It doesn't feel anything like the original, but that's okay.
Never been to the original. I was gonna ask you,
Yeah.
how does it compare?
I mean,
Has the
I would
pizza
say that
similar?
the pizza's similar, but the vibe is like completely different because I think like actually a writer for Eater wrote a piece a couple of years ago that was like, oh, so is Roberta's basically just like upscale mall pizza now, which like it kind of is. Like they're at the platform, they opened at the Sportsman's Lodge, and it's
Yeah.
just like the original is much more like just kind of gritty and feels more like almost like a bar. I mean, it's not upscale, like high design,
Yeah.
bright,
We're
like bright light. I don't know. It's like it's very different.
totally. We're getting that a
But the
lot
food
in
is still
LA.
great.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it feels
The
like we're getting that,
upscale
like
malls.
Yeah, well, it's not just the upscale mall, but it's like, I mean, yes, we love our upscale malls. Shout out Sportsman's Lodge.
Love them
But
all.
I think that's a really great point about how the successful ones have come here and tailored their concepts a little bit to the city. The one that comes to mind that I went to recently is Angler, which
Mhm.
Angler 2.0 especially has really tailored their menu to like try to, pay some homages to the Los Angeles food culture and scene. The thing I worry
Totally.
about is like the Las Vegasification of the Los Angeles
Mm,
food scene, and whether it's kind of like, with Hollywood, we have all these remakes and we have all these like, reboots.
right.
I would hate for the LA food scene to just be that and to really diminish the original concepts. Yeah, maybe I'm just like, not a not on my lawn kind of guy, but I don't think I am.
I get that. No, I get that. And I think like, yeah, you don't want like everything to feel the same or homogenous or like it's basically like all LA restaurants being a Marvel movie, right?
Yeah.
But I think like, yeah, I mean, I think we have a very strong, you know, hometown hero presence. So I don't think that's like, see what I did there? Superhero, hometown hero. Oh my God.
You're a
I don't
writer. You're a
think
writer.
I don't think, yeah, I personally don't worry about like, too many people coming from other cities and kind of like taking that away.
Yeah, look, LA, it's big enough for all of it.
Right.
And I do think it's been
Totally.
encouraging that like all of this, all of the superhero reboots, if you will, haven't taken away from the original concepts. We're still seeing lots of them.
Right.
So, yeah,
Totally.
for
Exactly.
now.
Exactly.
So,
There's room for
so
everyone.
on pizza, what else are you really liking in LA right now besides Roberta's, of course?
Okay. I do love Pizzana. I think like not only because the pizza and all the other food is delicious, but Daniele is one of the nicest, kindest people in the world. So I
Uh,
just want to give him a shout out because he's like the best. Um, I really like Pizzeria Say. I think that
mm,
it's absolutely delicious. I'm actually going back next. I haven't been in a minute, so I'm going back next week.
jealous.
But yeah, yeah, it's like it's so
So
good.
good. Yeah, and that
Um,
guy, I forget the chef's name. I think his name is William Chu. I could be wrong, but
mhm.
he used to work for Daniele.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so
He's and I
it's,
think and at Soto, I think too. So yeah, it's like he's had like incredible training, and I like that he's doing his own, kind of
yeah.
the Tokyo pizza style. It's so so delicious. The crust is like out of this world. I also love quarter sheets. I think like
Mhm.
they do, you know, the fact that Aaron does like a couple of different styles of pan pizza is really interesting. He works with like really, really good ingredients. Hannah's desserts
Desserts.
are
Oh,
spectacular. So it's like you're getting the best of both worlds in one place. And it's just like a fun, quirky, little restaurant. Like I did a profile of them for Eater when I was there and like they're just cool. They care about what they're doing, but they're like
yeah.
having a good time. I like the vibe that they've created.
It's really cool.
I love yeah, love Pizzeria Bianco. I mean, Avi, it's
Avi,
great.
you know what's crazy?
Have you gone?
I went so I've been to the one in Phoenix.
Okay.
I drove there when I was in college with my buddy. I actually, like, weirdly had an
Mhm.
interview in Phoenix, and my buddy was
Nice.
like, I didn't drive at the time, and he's like, "I will drive you, but I have 2 conditions. 1, we have to spend a night in Joshua Tree camping, and 2, we have to go to Pizzeria
Nice.
Bianco when we're in Phoenix." So I
You're
was
like,
like,
"Okay,
"Yeah,
deal."
fine by me." So we did that,
Yeah.
incredible experience. I've only been for lunch here in LA so far, where
Okay.
they were doing, like, more New York style slices.
Got it.
It's impossible to get a reservation, you know?
It is tough. I think so now they've opened up they're doing this pretty much the same menu at lunch that they're doing at dinner.
Mm.
So I don't know if maybe I went like 2 weeks ago with my parents, but they had just opened the lunch reservations. I like got on my laptop. I was like, "Okay, I'm doing this. I'm getting a reservation." So I don't know if now that they have lunch reservations if it's a little easier, but yeah, it's a tough it's a tough table to book, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well,
So,
it deservedly so, it sounds like.
yeah, I mean, the Rosa pizza, it's one of the best pizzas I've ever had. It's so good. Like pistachio, onion, red onion, parmesan, some rosemary. It's like so simple, but
Yeah.
like I don't know. It's like you also think about like before him, who would be put it in the US, who would be putting like pistachios on a pizza. That would have must have been like a revolutionary idea. So
Totally. I mean,
yeah.
he is truly a pioneer. Another
Yeah.
member of the panel you
Yes, he
moderated over
is.
at Pizza City
I know,
Fest.
that was great. That was so fun. Although you know, he unfortunately kind of had to be in Phoenix at the last minute, but I was so glad that he beamed in and joined us. It felt very high tech. It was so
It
much
was
fun.
it was high tech. It was like a mix of high tech and also, like, so primal in his, like, wisdom.
Totally.
He just
Oh
has
my
this, like,
gosh, yeah.
like, the way of speaking and whatnot that's, like, almost worldly. It's crazy.
Right. That's why they call him like the Yoda pizza, and it's like it's so true.
Yeah.
I profiled him for Eater as well. Basically, I was like, I'm just going to write about all the pizza places that I want to see on the West Side. That's what I'm going to do.
I love it.
Um, and and no, he was. It was such a great interview. I was actually so embarrassing. I was really late, and I hate being late, and especially for somebody who I respect so much. But he was like
Yeah.
the most gracious, kind person, and we ended up talking for like 2 hours. I apologized like 50 times, and by the end, he was like, "Look, just maybe don't be an asshole the next time somebody's late for you." I was like, "That's a great point."
Oh my god. Like, even that just, like,
It
little
was
nugget
great.
of wisdom is like
Totally. I was like, "Okay, perfect." But yeah,
yeah.
he was yeah, I'm trying to do you want some other pizza places that,
Honestly, we could probably talk pizza all day, so
that's
I think
true.
you've
That's
given
true.
our listeners
I've covered it.
plenty
Okay.
to think about, honestly, when it comes
Yeah,
to pizza.
totally.
By the time they've gotten a reservation at Pizzeria Bianco too, their lives will
Yeah,
be
that's
over,
true.
so they won't
Might be
even
by
be
the
able to
like, the end of the
yeah.
year.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
crazy.
So,
I love it.
let's go back to the topic of regular. So, I've
Mhm.
noticed in doing my research, okay, I the only so Hillstone seems to be a favorite of yours?
Hillstone. It sure
Hillstone, right?
is. I love
So,
it. I love a
uh,
Hillstone.
what okay, people who know food seem to be obsessed with Hillstone in terms of,
Yeah?
like, restaurant operation and quality.
Yeah.
Break that down for me, if you will.
So, I think it's a combination of, like, several things. One, they do have great service. They have very although it's funny because I've heard from some people that they think that it's too, like, methodical or robotic, like, it doesn't
Hmm.
feel genuinely warm, but they do, once you sit down, within a certain number of minutes, somebody is supposed to come and, like, take your drink order. They're just, like they're very attentive without, to me, feeling like it's over the top.
Mm.
So, it's like, sit down at the table, and I know that I'm gonna have my ice cold Hendrix martini and, like, at least like, 10 minutes later, you know what I mean? Like, it's a very they have very set up, like, strict, rules around service, and they just do, like, little things without you having to ask, like, if they see that, you order the spinach and artichoke dip and you're low on the tortilla chips that they serve with it, which is such a weird move, but it works, they'll just, like, automatically refill it, or with, one of my favorite moves is that if you have a martini, if they see that, you've been drinking it for a while, you're like halfway through, they'll bring you a fresh cold glass and like pour the martini into the cold glass so it stays cold.
Wow,
And then
that's
I
next
just,
level.
the food is like, yeah, it's like, it's a nice touch.
Yeah.
Um, and I just think like the food itself is always really good. Like, is it gonna like change your life? No, but like they make everything from scratch. They even bake their own bread for the sandwiches. So like it tastes fresh, it tastes homemade, it tastes like one of my favorites is it's called the Ding's crispy chicken sandwich. I don't know who
Mm.
Mr. or
Who
Ms.
ding. Yeah,
Ding
yeah.
is, um, but no, it's just like it's a really like the bread is great. it's like a very thin chicken cutlet with a crunchy, like, vinegary slaw and, a little bit of mayo, tomatoes, but the tomatoes are really good. I hate when you get a bad tomato on a sandwich.
Mhm.
And, like, randomly a slice of cold cheese, which, like, doesn't really make sense, but again, it just all works, you know? So it's like,
That's
you can
fascinating.
go and have yeah, you can go I know, the cold cheese.
The
I'm like,
cold
I
cheeses,
don't
yeah.
know, but it tastes great. So yeah, I think it's like food quality, service, and like any chain restaurant would aspire to have is, consistency. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
always going to be good.
and
Have
that's
you been to
why
a Hillstone?
I have.
Okay.
I was part of this, like, hospitality, group, like, career group in college when I was, like, trying to
Hmm.
desperately figure out how can I make this a career, and they took
Yeah.
us to, the Hillstones in Pasadena to do, like, a tour of their
Oh,
operations
nice. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything, and that was super interesting, and I have gone I don't know that I've been to Hillstone itself, actually, but I have been to South
Hmm.
Beverly Grill, and I've been to
Oh, yeah.
and I
Yeah.
went to, Bandera, RIP.
Okay. Yeah. You've done your fair share of Hillstone
Yeah,
properties.
I've done the
I miss
rounds.
Bandera too. That was a good one.
You know why I went there? There was a show on the Food Network called, Best Thing I Ever Ate, and,
Mm-hmm.
there was one of their, like, celebrity chef people who was talking about the best banana cream pudding they'd ever had was from Bandera.
Oh,
So
that's crazy.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
R.I.P.
I was, like, broke as a joke, 18 years old, Los Angeles, like, I just literally went there just for the banana cream pudding. I
I
probably
love
looked
it.
so out of place.
But
Um,
also, like, those restaurants aren't cheap, so you're like, can I have your $20
yeah,
banana pudding, please? Thank you."
I didn't eat for, like, a week after that, but it was
Yeah,
worth it.
exactly.
It was
But it
worth
was
it.
worth it. You went for the
Um
experience.
Exactly. Yeah, now I can say I did it. Being a regular at a restaurant, I think, is a really hard thing to achieve in Los Angeles in this day and
Mhm.
age because
True.
partially I think it comes down to, like, our city and the way it's spread out, but
Mhm.
also if
Yeah.
you're someone who, like, loves food, you are constantly trying to try different places, you're like
Right,
it's
right, right.
it to become a regular, you gotta really have, a commitment, So, I
Right.
wanna hear your pitch for the
For
values
being
of
a
becoming a
regular.
regular, yeah, like, bring back
Right.
being a regular, that should be your campaign.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, I mean, it's just I've I would say, like, my being a regular at a place started, in New York. I lived in Chelsea, this is, like, shortly before I moved to LA, and I used to go to this restaurant called the Red Cat all the time that unfortunately also is no longer with us. Ugh, RIP. It was so great. But it just became a place where, like, I love going, sitting at the bar, and this is, I'm mostly regulars at places where I dine alone, which I actually
Makes
really
sense,
enjoy.
yeah.
But like,
Oh,
yeah, it's like sitting at the bar, having a conversation with the bartender or server. The Red Cat specifically, because it was in Chelsea, there were always just like interesting people there who you would end up striking up a conversation with.
yeah,
Whether it's, this guy owns the gallery next door, or, so and so's also in the food. And like, there were just always, always, always interesting people. So my pitch for like being a regular is twofold. I mean, it's, it is you have a sense of community within the restaurant. Like, I also do love exploring new places, and that's one of the reasons why LA is so great is that there's, like, endless possibility to try a new restaurant or a food truck or whatever the case might be. But, like, like I was saying to you earlier about Roberta's, like, it's, like, kind of buddies with the bartenders now. You get treated very nicely. They know your order. It's a,
yeah,
like a lower stakes proposition because, like, if it's a place you love, it's gonna be good, like, you're gonna get good service, so yeah, it's like, as much as I love the exploration and discovery, I also just love, like, the comfort of being treated well and, feeling kind of at home at a restaurant, so
yeah. Well, to your point, you were saying earlier, like, Los Angeles can be a tough place to come and find your spots, like, not like
Totally.
it can be an isolating place, especially because it's so spread out, and I feel like, what better experience than to be able to go somewhere you feel comfortable at home, get a nice meal, see
Right.
a friendly
Right.
face.
Yes.
I feel like if
Absolutely.
anything, people should do that more in LA.
Yeah, it's true. I agree. I
Yeah,
fully support that.
you've won me over,
Bring back being a
yeah,
regular.
yeah, you don't
I'm
have
gonna
to
start a campaign.
yeah, or it could be a book idea, I don't know, a collection of
Yeah,
essays,
sure.
who knows how this could
Yeah.
shape up.
Who knows?
Um,
Who knows?
Sure, thank you so much. Is there I don't have, like, a very good at the end of the podcast, like, a typical question of, like, "Oh, your last meal before you die," or something like that.
Right.
Um,
Well, I think
but
you know what mine would be.
I have a
Pizza.
couple guesses, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but I did wanna ask you, you've been so successful in going out there and making a career for yourself in food and having experiencing really awesome success, meeting so many people, seeing so many different facets of it. What would you say to
Mhm.
someone who is looking to make a career in food? Whatever it
Right.
may be, writing, or social media, whatever it may be, what would you say to them?
I mean, I think especially with food writing and, like, getting into food media, a lot of it, just, like, start I mean, it sounds, like, so old school at this point, but, like, even just starting a blog or starting to do things kind of on your own, even if you're not necessarily getting paid for them yet, I think there's, like, a lot of opportunity to showcase what you're interested in, whether it's a blog or even, like, using your social media. I mean, if you look at my social media, you know pretty quickly, like, what I'm into. It's, pizza and pasta and car selfies, I don't know. But, like, it's like I think there's a lot of opportunity to use, the tools that are already out there to kind of, like, build I hate the, like, brand for yourself, but, like, get your interests and what your passions are out there. And I think too, like, I mean, like, you did an amazing job of, like, using social media to, like, the countdown, doing pizza
Oh,
and sandwiches. I mean, like, it creates a platform that, like, you know, people notice and start to follow, and, like, I think using social media in that way is so, so smart. And I think it's also, like, it's scary, but, um, pitching editors and trying, especially if you have a blog or you have some work on your social media or whatever, like, it's already showing your voice and your,
yeah.
talent a little bit. Yeah, starting to pitch freelance stories to editors and, like I said earlier, I think there's a lot to just creating luck for yourself and just kind of going for it because, I mean, the worst that can happen is somebody says no, but you keep trying. So,
I love that. That's great, great advice. And you know what? You were so complimentary of my account. We're gonna have to have you back on the podcast more often.
oh, thank you. Yes, I'd love to. Can I be a regular? No, I'm kidding.
Hey, honestly, we should have, like, yeah, Karen's Pizza Corner or something. Uh,
Exactly,
we
exactly, I
could
love
definitely
it.
make that happen. Karen, where can people find you if they're looking for you?
Oh, if they're looking for me, they can find me on Instagram at Karen L. Palmer. My website is karenlpalmer.com, so I'm pretty easy to find.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, this is so
I'll
much fun.
see you at a Hillstone soon, I guess.
I know, seriously. Let's have a martini.
Love it. Thanks to Karen Palmer for coming on the show today. We're now transitioning to a part of the show that I have been frankly dreading. It's time to welcome back to the podcast a Top Chef scholar with absolutely no friends or life whatsoever. It's Father Saul. Father Saul, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. As you pointed out, I'm someone with their priorities in order. It's Top Chef over everything. And I think that level of commitment came through in our final fantasy Top Chef score this year.
Your parents must be so proud you finally have accomplished something.
Yeah. We talked about it a lot last weekend when I saw them. And they seem more miffed than proud, but I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, at this point, that's a compliment. Look, because you care about this so much and I don't at all, I am going to do something different today. We're going to flip it and you're going to run the show here, buddy. I'm your guest.
I love it. I love it. I've been waiting for this day to come. I feel like I've deserved it for a long time. The natural host of the pod, your daddy, Father Saul, taking control finally. And I will kick it off with some pain for you by recounting to you our final Top Chef fantasy score.
All right, give it to me.
Luca, you came in with a solid 89 points.
It's not bad. It's
not bad. It sounds good. It sounds good. Without any context or comparison, it sounds good. 89 is a nice big number. Saul finished with 266. This is the biggest beatdown I think in any competitive game we have ever tried one-on-one.
I think that's probably right. This is the equivalent of getting trolled in beer pong, right? Like I would have to sit under the table for several games after this one. Probably.
That's right. Yeah, you'd be taking tequila shots. You'd be getting slapped in the face. All sorts of punishment be coming your way.
That's before we even get to the beer pong game.
yeah. That's just your little warm up, and we will get to your punishment for this particular performance. But you and Daniel at Sporkful, right, had
forking around.
Forking around. Edit that out.
Don't get them confused.
Forking around, which I love. And Daniel, I think, was an excellent guest. I actually really, really liked his takes and the reactions you guys had to the Top Chef finale. And I wanted to ask you even more directly, because you guys kind of touched on this. I think Daniel even proposed it a couple times. Do you think Buddha deserved to win the finale of Top Chef this year?
Yeah, we went through the judging round by round to decipher who won each round. And when you look at it super legalistically like that, absolutely Buddha deserved to win. I think if Sarah had cooked her liver properly or had been able to purchase the sweetbreads that was her initial plan, then I think we could have been having a different conversation. But because she undercooked her liver and because Buddha edged out Gabri at every single round, it pains me to say this, but I believe Buddha deserved to win.
Yeah, I think you might be right on technicality, and in fact, I don't know if you saw this. Tom Colicchio on Twitter, someone tweeted at him, "Hey, just based on reading the judges' table, if Sarah had cooked her liver right, would she have won?" And Tom was like, "Yes." He confirmed that she would have won.
That feels like, is he allowed to say that? If I was one of the other judges, I would be pissed. I'd be like, Tom, you can't let people under the curtain or behind the curtain of our deliberations here. That's a sacred space. You just can't be sharing that information.
He's the god, man. He can do whatever he wants. He is the Zeus of the Top Chef world. So I think he does what he pleases. But I will say, and I think you're right, that technicality, Buddha was the winner, deserving winner. Of course, also season-wide performance was deserving. I will say something that we discussed going into the finale, though, was, amidst my beatdown of you in Top Chef Fantasy, I needed to land the plane, right? I needed to have the champion win. Otherwise, I'm the 2016 Warriors, 73 wins, and then choke the finals. Watching that, despite having the winning contestant in Buddha, I kind of felt like a loser. Because I think Sarah got the moral victory. Is it better? Like, it feels almost worse to know, in fact, Sarah did beat Buddha, if not for a slight technical mistake. It's almost like, Buddha I almost feel bad for, because he knows he kind of cooked the second best. He made the second best menu. He had the second best ideas, and Sarah beat herself. He didn't really beat her. So, and I was frankly, I think by the end, almost rooting for Sarah. Sarah and Amar are two of my favorite contestants on the show, to kind of land it, and to see Buddha win almost by default kind of was almost felt more cucked, for lack of better term, than even Sarah winning outright over my two contestants. So it was an emotionally confusing time for me, and one where and you and Daniel did a beautiful job of breaking down all the nooks and crannies and twists and turns of that finale. But it stayed with me for a while, where I was like, I don't know if Buddha if he was the true winner or the moral winner of Top Chef season 20.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I know that if anybody cares about this distinction, it's probably Buddha, right? Like, as a student of the show, as a super fan of the show, I'm sure if he doesn't feel like he actually cooked better than Sarah, it's probably eating him alive. So honestly, that's a victory enough for me.
Well, with that, one of the things I've been looking forward to for a long time is our step back on what has been, I think, one of the most successful seasons of Top Chef in its history.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
think we should dole out some awards, some superlatives, reflect on a great time together, at least for me, on a difficult time for you. But even so, I'm curious to see how you would characterize some of the categories you have set up. So I'm going to go through and name some awards, name some categories, and I would love to hear your reaction to each. For example, who would you name as the biggest surprise of the season? You and I did a draft at the very beginning, right before episode 1. Who did we most misjudge, or who were you most surprised by, especially given we didn't know a lot of these contestants from the world?
I love this. First of all, I think we should be doing yearbook superlatives for every single thing we talk about. So 100% into this. Biggest surprise. So I did some thinking about this. Initially, I was going to give it to someone who overperformed because that seemed like the natural way to go, right? There were a lot of chefs when we did our draft we had never even heard of. And, you know, at least me, I can put my hands up and say I went completely off of vibes and prejudices and, frankly, stereotypes when I was doing the draft. And that, surprise, surprise, was not the way to go, it turns out. So I decided to go a different way, and that is who underperformed the most. And to me, no single person underperformed more than Dawn Burrell. If you recall, she was, top 4 in our draft? Top 5, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Was she number 2?
She was my number 2 pick, meaning that she was the number 3 overall pick in the draft.
Number 3 overall pick, and that's Markel Fultz numbers, right? That's like, or did he go 1?
He went 1. Let's not talk about it.
Yikes. Okay. Regardless, number 3 is a ridiculously high pick, and Dawn Burrell went there. And I checked it; she went home episode 2. In terms of how high they went into the draft versus how early they exited, I'm not sure it can get bigger in terms of surprise. So that's my award for biggest surprise of the season. What do you got?
First of all, that's a great shout because I didn't even think about flipping it. I was completely in the overperformer zone, and I'm really glad you called this out because it was one of the true shocks. I was all in on Dawn. Dawn, in her season 19 Portland performance, one of the reasonings for me picking her number 2 on my team was that she'd never cooked a bad meal. Even when she had failed, it was for time and management and stuff like that. But she didn't cook bad food, and my thinking was, oh well, she'll come in, she'll still cook great food, and hopefully have the time management in order. She did not, 1. And 2, she actually cooked like bad food. It was like this black rice congee that completely didn't work. So that's a great, and I think that actually might be the biggest surprise. Mine was going to be my friend Charbel, who I picked last overall on my team, and who he made it relatively far in the season. It was past midway point, but before Restaurant Wars, I believe, just before. But then performed really well on Last Chance Kitchen, coming all the way to Last Chance Kitchen finale. Now, Charbel was one where just, again, on vibes. And to be clear, when you say you were picking picks on stereotypes, I think we should clarify, maybe not like your typical racial stereotypes, but like private chefs, right? Caterers.
Yeah, exactly. Not my typical racial stereotypes.
Tough wording for you. I'm sorry about that.
Somebody's going to clip that. Yeah. No,
not the traditional, not traditionally what people think of when they think stereotypes, but stereotypes of Top Chef, which is that private chefs and caterers typically don't perform super well.
Those kinds of things, plus reading their bios and their narratives, looking for those sort of like narrative strong points that are typically you can kind of see in your head the movie playing out, right? It's like, single parent, that kind of thing, right? To me, which is, again, horrific way to do it. But this is television at the end of the day.
It is. It's such an illogical way to go about doing this draft, because what you have to realize is no matter who wins, they will just retrofit a narrative onto it. It doesn't matter what their background is. They'll find a way. Buddha, the repeat winner, who already had kind of squeezed all the narrative personal juice, wins the season. So hopefully you have a lesson learned there. Charbel, I remember reading his bio, and it was like 25-year-old gym bro private chef. And I was like, forget it. And
he chose to live in Florida, which massive red flag to me.
Massive red flag. And on top of all that, Middle Eastern, one of my least favorite cuisines. And I was like stuck at the very end. I was stuck with him, and I was like, oh God, this guy kind of looks like he's a kind of a douche gym bro living in Florida. And I was not.
A little bit of a Shamit face, a little bit of a loser face.
Yeah, that's right. A little bit of Shamit face. Absolutely correct. And comes in, he's hilarious, he's warm, he's kind, he's personable and talented. I would have been happy to see him in the finale, and he very nearly made it to Paris. And I totally was blown away by how cool he was, how interesting, one of the most interesting dishes of the season, his week 1 layered onion like flavored dish, which I think was supposed to be the vegetarian dish challenge, and the judges were blown away. He brought it back and won it. I almost won again with it. So he was my biggest surprise. Someone who, look, all we had at the beginning of the season was the cover to judge. I judged him by his cover, and I was wrong. Happy to be wrong about him.
Do we have to agree on this award, or is it kind of like you have yours and I have mine?
I think it's interesting for us to, like, of the nominees that each of us put forward, we choose who's the biggest surprise. And of these two, I would say I think you're correct on Don. Don was a shock exit to me.
Yeah, I agree. When we laid out our case, I think that the Don, you just described it. It was a shock, not a surprise, right? So that kind of, to me, nudges the scale.
Exactly. I'll even add too, we knew Don, right? So we had expectations. Like Charbel, like we're like kind of jokingly being like, gym bro. But we don't know him. He could have been anything, and there was still space for that. Don, we thought we knew, and then she subverted our expectations by crashing out early. So I think you picked the biggest surprise of the season, Don Burrell crashing out at week 2.
I finally won something. It feels so good.
I'm gonna take some dives here for you, just so you can like win, feel good about yourself heading out here. No, but let's go. Kind of following the Charbel piece a little bit, but I want to know, who was your best personality of the season? Undefined, however you want to take that angle of personality question. Who you stood out as like a chef with like a particularly magnetic, let's say, or that you were excited to see again on screen personality?
I think I liked, my favorite one was Gabri. I voted for him in best personality. I was thinking about this in terms of who made a bunch of friends in the house, right? That means people gravitated towards them. And Gabri seemed to be someone who, at the start, he was really tight with like Begonia and Luciana. And then as the show progressed, he got really tight with like Tom, which was kind of a fun odd couples mixed match. And also, I judged it based on when they did their cut to camera interviews, who made me like chuckle the most. And his whole like Mexican ESL, slightly lecherous thing, like really, really, I thought made for great television. So, and also personal story, you got to give it to him. He had a hell of a personal story, and it just made you want to root for him the whole way through. Him making it to the final honestly could have been up there for biggest surprise. So that personality, my vote is Gabri.
Great shout also on the surprise in terms of his overall run. Also a great shout just in terms of a choice here. Gabri didn't cross my mind for this award, but he's totally deserving for it. And I think part of the reason is because in week 1 he spilled like beans water in Don's dough, and I think that gave me like a negative bent towards Gabri the whole time, even though he was on my team. But by the end, he was totally charming, totally cool. He talked about wanting to make out with every dude on the planet imaginable, soccer players, French guys. It was always really funny. Like, and he, by the way, also cooked an excellent finale meal. I should also say, there were points where I thought Gabri could win over Buddha, even after Sarah undercooked her liver, just because he was being bolder and like really like pushing the limits. And I think the chefs, the judges, were actually more excited by Gabri's food, and I thought that was a real credit to him.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me at the start of the season that Gabri was going to walk away with a silver medal after all of this, I wouldn't have believed you, or especially after seeing the first 1 or 2 episodes, right? After having seen him cook, kind of seeing his like frantic demeanor in the kitchen, which I think was responsible for the incident you just brought up with him spilling something into Dawn's beans or lentils or whatever it was. But the fact that he did so well and he kind of exceeded at least my expectations and did it with that humor and friendliness and personal grit as well. He's got my vote.
It's a fair vote. I think my choice on this one might edge yours, though, because Amar is just the most likable guy on the planet. Yes, he is. What are you doing? No, see you doing the jack off motion at me. No, Habibi and Papi, great dynamic, best relationship we've seen on the show. He's warm, he's funny. Even when he had like kind of tanked Sarah the first time around in the Wellington Challenge, he still picked him again. Sarah herself, by the way, also a great personality, I should say. Had to do her. She was my second choice. But Amar is just someone you want around you in the kitchen. He's supportive. He's funny. He's like dopey, but still highly competent, as we saw yet again. And I like that like mix of expectation versus reality. There was moments in the season where we were joking that like, is he just like pool sharking everyone? He's like pretending not to do. He like in the Indian challenge, he's like, I've never done Indian food. What's cumin? And then like fucking wins the challenge.
Yeah,
it's like, and so he was mine. One that I'm going to be sorry to see go from the Top Chef world because I'll always hang out with Amar.
The reason I'll give this one to you is because there's an empirical case to be made here. I don't know if you caught this, but during the finale and leading up to the finale, during the commercial breaks, they were showing a poll that they were doing for fan favorite chef, and they were going to be awarded $10,000. And the final of the fan favorite came down to Amar versus Sarah. I'm not actually sure who won, but the fact that Amar was a finalist in that definitely bolsters your point that he was, well liked. I will ask you, does the whole MAGA thing sway you at all? At the risk of alienating our MAGA listeners.
So the context for this is there's accusations, there's claim like rumors online that Amar is a pro-Trump person or whatever. Look, kind of, I'm gonna say like obviously that's always a little bit of a thing, but kind of no, because I think he's just a dopey dude, man. Like, I think he just sees Trump be like rich. I don't know. I don't even know what Trump says. Trump says something. I can just see Trump saying something that like kind of doesn't make sense, but like if you're dopey, sounds good, and Amar being like totally. Yeah. But you see, I mean, look, if he was a true at heart MAGA guy, do you think Papi and Habibi would exist? It would not.
That's true.
He's building bridges, so no.
That's true. Yeah, look, man, I'll give this one to you. I think we can go with Amar as the best personality. He also, talk about one of the criteria for this being how much people in the house like him. I don't think anybody was better liked than Amar.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, he did in fact win fan favorite for the season.
Okay, well then it's settled. Best personality.
The numbers show it.
I'll give it to you,
Amar Santana. There we go. Who was your best guest judge of the season?
This one was fun. I went back and I have a real answer and a joke answer. My joke answer is Hélène Darroze, the Top Chef France judge whose restaurant they went to in the finale and who helped judge the finale.
Oh, yeah.
The reason she's my fake answer is because I thought she inserted the most jeopardy by completely misunderstanding the assignment. Like at multiple times during the finale, they had to like explain to her, we're not judging them based on their potential as a cook here. We're judging them based on how good this meal was. So she really threw like a wild card wrench there in the end in terms of just like completely misunderstanding the premise of the show. Very concerning given she's like the Tom Colicchio of France. So
that's right.
Yeah. But my real answer is actually the food critic of the Evening Standard, Jimmy Famurewa, who was a secret diner at Restaurant Wars this season and then came back as the judge for Judge's Table. And I just thought I loved the decision to put in the secret food critic at Restaurant Wars. I just thought it gave like such an interesting like new jeopardy to the whole thing. And when he actually sat down and gave the judging and whatnot, I just thought like the way he talked about food, his points of view and whatnot, I was like, I want to read this guy's reviews, even though I'm never going to go eat in London.
Interesting. That surprises me because I I love the conceit of hiding a critic in the restaurant for Restaurant Wars. I think they should do that every year. That's like a great idea. I thought he wasn't critical enough. He kind of just like loved everything, right? The one thing he said was the second restaurant or whatever, the non-Buddha restaurant, like didn't have a cohesive menu. But I wanted more of an edge from him a little bit. I was missing that.
I don't know. I feel like the easiest thing to do as a guest judge is to come on and to want to prove yourself, to prove like your big dick energy and come in and just kind of shit on people's food. And he didn't do that. And like you, I do think even the worst dish at Restaurant Wars, which was the one that Nicole went home for, which was the lobster
Uh,
ravioli,
right,
everyone said nice things about flavor wise. The thing that they dinged her on was the shape, or I'm sorry, the thickness of the pasta and the
right.
fact that it was taking her a while to get it out. But I don't think there was a whole lot to be critical when it comes to that meal. I think even the worst dish, people were saying good things about flavor wise.
That's fair enough. He did have excellent vibes. I'll give him that. Also, shout out to our French Top Chef head judge because her performance in the finale is totally what I would do. It was so relatable. I was like, I got the guy I want to win, and like I'm just gonna try to find reasons that he should win, and totally be like, he could learn the techniques. It's fine, and I very much related to that.
It
So
was like
Jimmy
she
has
was,
a
it was like, yeah, it was the weirdest thing. She was like judging like next Food Network star or something, right? Like it was, she
right.
was on a different show.
Yeah. I got where she was coming from though. I will. So Jimmy is your choice. Mine was Gagan Anand, who came in for a quick fire and elimination challenge combo. Really good vibes and did something that I love. So first of all, like he's this goofy, wacky, like pajama pants outfits, emoji challenge, and of course a highly respected chef worldwide. But what I loved about his appearance was his choice to go get a beer with the contestants after it was done. Apparently, there was like a moment where they were wrapping up for the day, and actually Doneen told us this, I believe, and he kind of turned to everyone and was like, "Hey, can I just go say hi to the chefs? Because I really appreciate them like cooking for us today, and I want to say hi." Grabs a beer, and he's an inspiration to several of the folks in the room, Tom and Buddha especially, and like gives his time like that so generously. That really won me over.
I had forgotten about the beer detail, and I think that is enough to edge this one. I mean, the fact that a judge kind of breaks that, fourth wall and goes and talks to the contestants, that's what it's all about. So that is cool. I was going to say like, yeah, he had an excellent challenge, and I think he's definitely in the running for best challenge, and because that was like one of the better challenges I think we've seen
Yeah.
in Top Chef in general, right? Let alone
Yeah.
this season. That was the emoji challenge, right? Where they had to like convey an emotion, basically.
That's
Or that
right.
was
And
a
then I
quick
can't remember.
fire.
I can't. No, it was a quick fire, and then that was the quick fire. Then the elimination. I can't remember what the parameters were, but all I remember was thinking it was some of the coolest food we'd seen. I can't remember exactly what they had. It was like a push, like has to be like visually beautiful in some ways and something like that. But I can't remember what the strictures were. I remember it just brought great food out of the chefs, and we might be talking about some of that food in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, we're going Guggen.
I think we can go Guggen because of the beer detail. I do want to just say they should definitely have a secret judge at Restaurant Wars of the Future again. I'll
Yes,
stand by that, but we can give it to Guggen for best guest judge. Worst
I hear
guest
you on
judge,
that. Yeah.
Leslie King.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. Yeah, that's right. He was the worst. Also, there were some weirdly uptight British guest judges on this season. I think it was there were like the jelly guy and the shortbread guy or something like that, or the biscuit guy that were just
Yeah.
like really weird and like strict and staid and like kind of like condescending. And I thought that was like an interesting. It was a little bit difficult to go through the whole season and be like, I like even 3 of these guest judges
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
Yeah, they were giving sexual repression, but definitely it added something to the energy of the room where it was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna like it because there's definitely like I cannot detect a single emotion on this human's face right now.
Well, along these lines, what do you think was the best challenge of the season?
Anticipating that you were gonna go with the Guggen one, which we'll see if you actually did, but I decided to go with the Indian style thali one. So
Great one. Yeah.
they were tasked with each creating their own thali. And the reason I liked this is because I think it broke a lot of the chef's brains. Like typically they have to create dishes with ingredients that all really go well together. And the whole challenge here is basically like you need to create 6 or 7 different dishes that have nothing to do with one another other than balancing an entire like meal. But each dish is meant to like actually contrast with the other quite heavily to make that happen. And I think that kind of a challenge really kind of challenged the chefs because it's not what they were used to doing. And I think it created some really interesting dishes and also some really interesting results. Like for example, uh Buddha had a really bad week during the Tali one
Yeah.
because I
Yep.
think he just wasn't used to thinking like that. As someone who comes into every single challenge hyper prepared, he probably was like, yep, there's going to be a South Asian challenge. We're in London. I'm going
Mhm.
to make a curry. I'm going to make a chutney. Bang, put it in a mold, you know, sweet as a nut. But having to do this really broke him. And honestly, that was the week where I thought Buddha might freak out and get eliminated here. I also liked this because it eliminated Victoire finally, so that put an end to my misery of having her on my team.
It's a great choice. It was a great challenge. It was one that we'd been waiting for as we were talking about the season going on, the South Asian challenge coming in. And I think you might take this round because you're gonna laugh at my choice. Now, one, I want to hat tip to I'm gonna hat tip to the mimic challenge. It was the last challenge in London where they had to cook something that
Yes.
looked like one thing and looked others. If they had performed a little better on that, I think that might have won for me. But Buddha was the only one who really like blew it out of the water, and everyone else was kind of like a little off with it. But I liked that the stricters that challenge. My actual favorite challenge, I think, of the season was the fucking Fast and Furious one. It was a mise en place. I know it's SpawnCon. I know that's like the
No,
corniest thing.
I actually think one of the things Top Chef does incredibly well, and I talked about this with Donnie a little bit, is I think they nail SpawnCon. Like
They do.
they never make SpawnCon feel cheesy. They come with like pretty unique takes on how to incorporate sponsors. So I'm not surprised you picked the SpawnCon because that's where I think they have to get even more creative with their ideas. It's easy to go to London and be like, we're gonna do Indian food, we're gonna do a soccer themed thing. It's hard to
Right.
be like, what do we do with Fast and the Furious?
Okay, I feel less insecure about this now because I was like, am I really going to go Fast and the Furious? But what I love about it, and what I realized thinking about this, what I love about the challenges is when there's a real like strategy component, right? Because this was basically a mise en place race, 3 rounds of a mise en place race, and then the winning teams or the order of the speed determined what ingredients you got to choose, and there was only one protein per round that each team could choose from, and just like the like whatever game theory of like, hey, we're gonna try and like grab all the protein we can, so other teams have to be at least one of the team has to be vegetarian, and the vegetarian team ends up winning. Who does what dish for mise en place? Who has the strengths? Who have the weaknesses? I just enjoy watching them have to make those decisions as we go along, and that's why I don't think it was the best food of the season necessarily, but I think it was one of the more fun challenge designs.
It did lead to one of my favorite moments of the season, which was Sarah absolutely beasting the lamb chops.
Yes.
While they gave it to I think Gabri, who had he
Yeah.
acted like he had never seen a lamb chop in his entire life. He just like
That-
he was doing weird things to it. Honestly, like he was like rubbing it in weird ways. He was like trying to he was trying to like start a fire with it. I don't know what he was doing.
It was that was also an insane moment because Tom who was on the team on Gabri's team knew how to prep lamb chops, but wanted to do like the oranges or something that Gabri knows how to do, and Gabri doesn't know how to do lamb chops. So Tom's trying to coach him through it, and like Gabri's like, I was shocked at the end when Gabri was like, me and Tom are friends, because that would seem like such like a shitty moment between them. I'm like, Tom, what the fuck are you doing? You can't like throw this guy in deep water, and they end up, guess what, last that round. But hilariously enough, ended up winning the challenge despite being the one team that had no protein. So anyway,
Yeah.
one of my favorites. What do you think, man? Best challenge?
I mean, I think Fast and Furious could have happened in any
Any season.
place, right? So
Yep.
if we're thinking about what is most pertinent to this season, I'd say let's go with the Tolly.
I agree with you. I also really liked how they forced the chefs to do different flavors right across the board, and that to be I like that challenge a lot. It was a good one. All right, now speaking of top challenges, who do you think made the most desirable dish of the season? It's the dish that you wish you could have jumped through the TV and eaten and or fucked, whichever works for you.
Yeah, totally. That's how I think about most things. Well, it's a dish that you've already mentioned, and the one that I kept thinking about and kept returning to in my head over the course of the season was Charbel's roasted onion with onion puree, chicken jus, and sumac. Now, a sumac tuile, sorry. Now, this whole challenge was basically center vegetables and make the protein the side piece, really. So he was one of the boldest people there in that he didn't pick a fancy vegetable. He picked the humble onion, and I love onion, and I love dishes that make onion sing. Like, for example, my mom used to make this pizza, which was literally just onion on top. And the onions got like beautifully caramelized and like golden when they were in the oven. And I just remember being like, this is the best pizza of all time. It's like sweet, salty. And I just like, I could feel that that's what Charbel was conjuring with this dish. And to use that chicken jus to add that sort of like savory undertone, thought was a brilliant move. I would have loved to eat, fuck, whatever this dish all day long.
It's a great one. I think the chefs also, the judges rather, mentioned that they were like, they've never had anything like that, right? It was like an innovative, kind of mind-blowing transformation of the simple ingredient, which is really cool. Something you don't often see 20 seasons of Top Chef.
It's like a pearl necklace at the is that what they call it? The French Laundry's like signature dish, or like the
I hope it is, because pearl necklace can refer to a bunch of different stuff.
I actually think it's not called that. It's definitely not called that. But
this is when you confuse the eat or fuck stuff. It happens. It happens to everyone.
What I mean is, like, it's like the mole at Puyol. I should have just gone with that. Meaning, like, this is like a signature dish that like people travel to your restaurant for. That's what it was given.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And mine, that had crossed my mind as one of the dishes that stood out just because it was talked about high level. For me, and this kind of blends into the next category as well, so I'm cheating a little bit, but it was the dish that just blew me away. Sarah's rib dish during the Guggen challenge, which I thought was just stunning. And I have to go back and read through like what exactly is in it, but she does perfectly prepared rib dotted with like flower petals. I think there was like a sweet sauce on it, honey. And I remember the judges were blown away by this rib. Now we'll get to why it was the greatest injustice in a second. But I saw that and I was like, oh, she's winning. She's winning this week, because holy shit, that looked so good. I hope it's on her menu, because that looks so awesome. And just like maybe just like a bone-on rib is something that visually appeals to me. But for me, that was a standout. Now I will say, I think your onion choice actually has to be the most desirable this year, because look, we've seen ribs before on Top Chef. It was ribs with flower petals on it. At the end of the day, could have been in any context. Charbel's onion, I thought, was special because of the innovation, the simplicity, and also because I think it was our first taste of the international chefs coming through on the season.
Yeah.
It was episode 1, and it was like, what do these guys have to bring to the table? Charbel was our second to last pick in the draft, and I thought that was a special, like, sort of put a stamp on the season dish. That dish like set the tone for season 20 a little bit, and for that reason, I think it might be our most desirable.
I will say also, if we're looking at foods to have intercourse with, the way you have intercourse with a rib is not my preferred way, so I would go with the onion.
Fair enough. The next category is greatest injustice, as I've teased a little bit, which means who got eliminated when they didn't deserve, or who should have won a challenge but didn't. Now, I'll go quick here, because I've teased it already. Sarah, for her rib in the Guggen challenge, which the judges raved over, didn't make top 3. It was an early sign. it was an early sign of the Top Chef 20 Let's Cook Luca subtitle for the whole season, where in the whole episode we were like, oh damn, Sarah's on Luca's team and she's about to crush. They love that dish. It doesn't even make top 3. And it was so weird.
Yeah, you can have this one because my greatest injustice was also Sarah related, and it was really the liver. I put the liver down because I thought if it, I struggled with characterizing it as an injustice because it is technically a mistake, but the fact that her entire Top Chef like story hinges on this one dish when she probably deserved that final, and honestly had been probably the least like the most underrated and under-recognized performer the entire way, to your point right now, kind of is heartbreaking. But I think your rib situation is a better like fit for this particular category. So I think we go with rib.
Yeah, and I get where you're coming from on the liver. I was listening to a podcast interview with Sarah and Buddha, actually, both, which was kind of interesting, on Pack Your Knives, who we have to always tip our caps to for introducing Fantasy Top Chef to our lives. And Sarah's like, dude, I still live, like, sit on the couch with my husband. And it's just quiet for a second. 6 months later, and we just turn to each other and go, "Fucking liver, man, fucking liver." It's so tough. It breaks my heart.
It's John Terry slipping at the Champions League penalty final.
Steven Gerrard in that season. Yeah, no, it's so brutal. I can't even think about it that much.
Yeah, it hurts.
Now,
no one hurts.
Now here's where Sarah might get some shine. I don't know. I'm curious about where you went with this category, but I'm curious who you think's most likely to succeed post Top Chef. Now, for this category, I mean succeed in terms of like awards, notoriety, reputation, whose career you think most takes off in the real world, which is different from Top Chef. And we should note that there are plenty of seasons where the person who lost, or not necessarily the person who won, wasn't necessarily the most successful person. The runner-up or third place or fourth place was. You can think maybe, Shota from Portland or Beverly from Top Chef Texas, who was, I think, finished third or fourth and has a Michelin star now. I don't think anyone else in her season has one of those. Yeah. Nina Compton from Top Chef Louisiana, who was a runner-up. So is there someone, it could be Buddha, to be fair, but who do you think following the show kind of keeps it going, and in 3-5 years is at the James Beard Awards, is at the Michelin stars, and so on? I'm curious what you think.
It's a great point about the winners are not always the most quote unquote successful. I think this show shows us that some chefs are just excellent competition chefs and maybe very successful in their restaurant, but maybe don't get all of that recognition. The one that comes to mind for me is Brooke Williamson, right? I think maybe the greatest competitor out there. I mean, she's won or done really well on her seasons of Top Chef. She kicked butt on every Tournament of Champions that she's been on. Like, she knows how to compete. And it's not like her restaurants are bad. Like, they're very successful restaurants here in Los Angeles, Playa Provisions. But she hasn't quite, she doesn't have a Michelin star or anything like that, right? So it's a good question and it's a good reminder. But I do think I went really boring with this one because I do think this guy wants it so bad. You can smell it. And he does seem like he has the obsessive nature of like, and that's what I think it really takes to become a Michelin star chef, right? It takes obsession. It takes like doing the same thing over and over and over again to the highest possible degree and caliber. And that's why I went with Buddha, man. I think that his obsession and dedication to perfecting things, at least as we've been able to see on the show, I think that's the makings of a Michelin star chef. And I would bet on him right now to, in the next 10 years, have multiple Michelin stars.
Yeah, this is one. I'm just going to say, I think you're right on this one. And I basically was like trying to find any way to not pick Buddha, much like the judges table in the finale. But and I was like, who I want to be most successful is Sarah, right? I want Sarah to like continue to hit those highs, right? I was even thinking, I was like toying with maybe even an Uli, right? Who I think really like made an impression, but I think like, look, I think it would be a difficult path up for him, and I'm not sure he has the level necessarily to get there. So I think you're right. I think it's Buddha. And I think Buddha also for the last like 2 years of his life, and I mean, look, for most of his life even, has like been kind of weirdly laser focused on Top Chef, has been like kind
Yeah.
of really obsessed with Top Chef. Now that he's like possibly the GOAT Top Chef contestant, he can turn his attentions to the James Beards and the Michelins of the world, and I would imagine see them through. So I think you're exactly right. It's got to be Buddha.
See, some chefs are naturally gifted at competing, and they come on these
Yeah.
shows and they do really well because they're naturally gifted and they're good. They're like fast thinkers. They know how to execute consistently. They're fast and all that stuff. Those are the Brooks of the world. I think you bring up an excellent point. I think the reason Buddha has been so good is because this is what he's been obsessed with. His being good on this is more a signal of the fact that he has that ability to obsess over something so much that he becomes the best at it. And I think he's going to apply that, and he's going to take that and apply it to his own restaurant someday. And you can see from the way that he idolizes the Michelin star chefs that that's most likely his ultimate goal.
Yeah, I think those are the people he wants to be his peers ultimately. And certainly Top Chef helps with that, but I think you're exactly right. He wants to be remembered among like the Guggins and that level. So yeah, excited to see what's to come. Now, this brings up a curious question. Whose restaurant would we most like to visit in real life?
I got a joke answer and a real answer for you.
All right.
Joke answer, Tom's. Caviar on the beach, at sea.
Hey, it's not bad, actually. Not bad. You're never getting me in the sea, but not a bad shout in terms of an experience. Go ahead.
My real answer, however, is Ali. I mean, because I was thinking along the lines of who is most likely to succeed and what would their restaurants look like. I think it was a close call between like Sarah and Ali for me. But if I'm thinking about the type of food that I like to eat, I do love to eat a Middle Eastern feast. I'm not, racist towards that cuisine like somebody else I know on this podcast. For me, that's one of my favorites. So if I'm thinking about where do I want to go, where do I want to, get a Resi reservation to or hit that notify button, it's Ali's restaurant.
That I should have anticipated that. It makes total sense to me, man. He was not on my list for the reasons you mentioned. Yeah, but I like that shout because he's someone I'm really intrigued by. He didn't really seem like a guy who would really take the season by storm. The whole first half, he was like the MVP halfway through the show. He was really strong. So I'd be curious to see what he offers up in his restaurant. So look, Gabri was up near the top for me. We love Mexican food. We love high-end Mexican food. When Gabri kind of opens his own thing, I don't think he has a restaurant right now, but if he does, I would love to go there. My answer is Sarah, man. I just want to eat Sarah's food. We during this season, I was telling you before we started recording, my girlfriend and I have watched 5 other seasons of Top Chef over the course of the last 14 weeks. We've been really obsessed. I think the quality of season 20 really sparked us. And we've been going back to Top Chef California, Texas, Louisiana, and Kentucky. And I got to see Sarah go the first time around. Honestly, if I had seen Kentucky before we did our draft, Sarah might have gone number 1 overall because I was such a fan of hers.
No way.
I mean, look, it's unlikely because Buddha is such a stud. But I was like, oh shit, no, Sarah's for real. Also, by the way, so is Amar, who we really disrespected in our draft quite a bit. He was a real badass in California. But Sarah's food, the kind of food she cooks is just exactly the kind of food I want to eat. And if we ever find ourselves in Kentucky, we're definitely hitting that up.
Yeah, Sarah would have gone first on my board. I had seen Kentucky and I wanted to pick her first. Part of it was just because I refused to pick Buddha, just because it seemed too easy. Probably wouldn't have been the smartest thing to do. In hindsight, it definitely wouldn't have been the smartest thing to do. But that doesn't surprise me, man. Sarah's a real badass.
Sarah's a real badass. Now, question for you, and this we're going to look ahead a bit, but do you think, when we talked about the Top Chef fantasy season this year in the draft, we determined that the winner would get a free meal as paid for by the other at Vespertine in LA, which was Jonathan Gold's last number 1 restaurant, I believe, on his top 100 list. Unfortunately, it seems as though Vespertine has only shifted to doing private events and not serving consistent dinners, if I understand their website correctly. My question is this. 1, where are you taking me this year? Because I'm excited and I have ideas if you need them. 2, I wonder if there's a way, speaking of the restaurant we most like to visit in real life, if there's a way in future Top Chef fantasy seasons for us to make a contestant's restaurant the prize. Now, that might be difficult location-wise. We'll have to see based on who's there, but I like keeping it in the world of Top Chef in some way, rather than just going to Vespertine or some other expensive restaurant. So I'll throw that out there for you. But for this year, where am I eating for free?
Well, it's funny you bring that up because I was going to give you a menu of options. I was going to give you 3 different routes we could go with this. One route was just to go, let's pick a Vespertine equivalent, right? Like one of the like best tasting menus in the city right now. Like, I don't know if it's like Kato or Hayato or like Anaka or something like that. And, we could really ball out at one of those places. My other suggestion was I did some, light research and I saw the list of like 20 to 25 restaurants owned by Top Chef alumni in Los Angeles. And I could surprise you by taking you to one of the nicer restaurants, right, of a Top Chef alumnus. And we could, honor the show in that way. Or finally, I could take you on a classic LA food pod crawl around the city. It wouldn't be like the higher end places because I'm not made of money, but we could do like lower to mid tier spots, including some Top Chef places. And I take you like, on me food crawl around the city, get your education.
Interesting.
Up. Those are 3 options I toy around with.
That's interesting. I actually went a very similar direction for the first 2 in particular. I'm going to throw a last one at you, and I want to see what you think, because I think this might be the most Top Chef appropriate option. It's our first season of first time ever doing a public Top Chef fantasy challenge. What if we celebrate by going to Craft Los Angeles, the home of the god? I know Craft's not the sexiest restaurant on the landscape. I know there's cooler places, but look, at some point we got to give Tom his flowers. How can we go around being the biggest Top Chef fans in the world and not have eaten Tom Colicchio's food? Yeah. So I will toss that out there as an option as well. I think it would be between that and the surprise former contestant restaurant. Those would be the 2 I go for.
Why don't we put it up for a vote on the ground?
Love it.
Okay, let's do that. We'll do that. We'll have these 4 options and we'll put it up for a vote on the gram, and whatever our dear listeners want, that's what you'll be getting.
That sounds fair to me, man. I like we're keeping it in the family. Hey, great season of Top Chef Fantasy. I had a good time doing this. I'm sure you did too.
I absolutely did not. My question for you is, last time when I had Daniel on, I facetiously asked him if he wanted to be my partner instead of you next year, because I was tired of getting my ass whooped. But what we really landed on was, what if we expand the pool next year and we get some of our friends to join us?
I fucking love it. I would love to finally have a challenger. It's kind of like, when you win and it's too easy and it becomes like less enjoyable because it's so easy. No. I want to have a real challenge. I think Daniel could provide. Anyone else, I think it would be a blast to have other folks involved in this. So absolutely, yes. Let's blow this up, man. All
right, we're gonna create a mini celebrity LA food, celebrity pool, kind of like Bill Simmons, John Hamm football league,
fantasy football league, yeah.
Dude, I want to congratulate you, and also, hey, great job your first time hosting a segment. I think we can. I have notes. I have some notes. It's not a no notes performance, but good job.
Appreciate it, man. I was expecting notes the whole way. No notes are scary, man. No notes is a scary expectation. There's nowhere to go if you have no notes. So we'll improve from here. This was a blast, man. Shout out to Top Chef. Shout out to you. Great job.
And listeners, if you're afraid that there will be no more Top Chef content between now and next season, do not be afraid. We've come up with a bunch of ideas to keep the Top Chef chatter up. So this will remain the LA and Top Chef food podcast. Don't you worry. Saul, Father Saul, great job by you. Thank you so much, man.
Great job by you, buddy.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the LA Food Podcast. Thanks to Karen Palmer and to Father Saul. If you like what you heard, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts, leave us a rating, a review, subscribe if you should be so inclined. And if you're looking for me, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at the LA Countdown. That's TheLaCountdown. You can also find me on Instagram at LA Food Pod. That's LAFoodPod.